Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you something really super simple and quick for finishing, for staining or spraying your polyurethanes or anything that you're going to do in the finishing process to make your life much easier. And it doesn't involve buying thousands of these. I can show you a simple trick of things that you have in your shop that you can just put together really quick to make these finishing tips actually work for you. Okay guys, so check this out. These are painting points. Now you can buy these for pretty cheap. You can get them in a pack of like 10 or 20, whatever you need. But the problem is going to arise where you're going to have these things laying around in your shop. You're going to lose them, like I've lost I don't know how many of them, and they stack together. They're pretty cool. You know, I'll put a link for these if you do want some of them, because you know they do the trick. So they are good. They have little holes here on the bottoms also, so that you can screw the base into your workbench or whatever you're working with. But you're limited to what you have. So if you have just say like 10 or 12 of these, and you have a bunch of drawers to finish, or you have a bunch of drawer fronts and cabinet doors that you have to stain both sides of. If you have a door, you need 4 of these. So if you have like 8 doors, or if you have 6 doors, then you're not going to have enough, because 4 of these on 6 doors is 24. If you only have 12, now you're 12 short. All right, so what I've done is just take, and now listen, I didn't invent this. I mean, people have been doing this since the dawn of time. Now, a lot of people do it differently. They use finishing nails, you know, really skinny finishing nails, have a finer point. I have roofing nails laying around in the shop, so I'm using roofing nails. You know, they have a point. It's not a big deal. It's not going to leave a real big dent in the workpiece that I'm using, because the pieces that I'm working on are very light. All right, so let me just show you how to do this and make this nailer board, and then I'll show you how they work. Okay, so I have a bunch of scrap plywood, all cut off some projects that I'm never going to use. You stack them up, you throw them in the corner, then you trip over them. They take a lot of room up in your shop. You never use them. You wind up throwing them out later on, so it's double work. Now, we all know that scrap wood laying around from anywhere could be a real hazard. You know what I mean? Okay, guys, so to make these nailer boards, you just need a few simple things. You need a really messy workbench. No, I'm just kidding. You don't need that. But you do need something solid so that you can put this on. Now, if you don't have a workbench, especially one that has dog holes in it, because what you're going to do is when you hammer this through, you don't want it to go into the workbench. You want it to go straight through the dog hole. All right? So what you can do if you don't have a workbench, then you can just take some scraps of wood like this, and you can put the wood on top, and then you can hammer right in the center, and as it starts going through, you can just pick it up, hang it off the workbench, and then finish it off. But I don't need to do that because I do have a really sloppy, messy workbench. So what you're going to do, it's real simple. You don't have to be precise. Just get somewhere in the middle of the board, start it up, make sure that you know how to use a hammer. All right, a lot of people out there don't know how to use hammers anymore. So get it started just lightly, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to draw a little bit. Now I'm about halfway through the material. I don't want to keep going, but I do, you know, because I don't want to cut into the bench now, because then I'd have to pry it off. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to hover just about where the hole on my workbench is. Start coming through, and then you can see as you start going through the point right over that dog hole. Now I flip it over. You don't have to worry about any kind of a messy splintering, because these are just going to be for the purposes of holding up a board. Okay guys, so check it out. Over here I have the drawers that I made for the bar build that we're working on, and these are the drawer fronts. Now the drawer fronts, here's another tip. You can just use any piece of scrap wood, because you don't need the points, because if you're going to be doing a full straw front like this, and that's going to be sitting here, the majority of the back of this is going to be unfinished anyway. I mean, you can spray it as much as you want to, but you really don't have to concentrate too much on the middle. So you can just take one decent sized piece of scrap, put it there, you stain one side or spray it, you flip it over, you stain the other side, and then you can leave it and you don't have to worry about it. The only thing you do have to worry about is if you do put too much of a finish on this in the center, and you leave it too long in there, then it could stick to the scrap block. Yes, you can knock it off, but you know, using a hammer, but just avoid that problem in the first place. So the client wants everything stained black in regards to this bar build, including the insides of the cabinets. So here are the drawers. Now the drawers, I'm going to have to stain those black as well on the inside and out. So what I'm going to do is just take my blocks that I made and position them somewhere at the corners. Just anywhere that's, you know, they're kind of in the same orientation, and you can just take it and boom, right there. Now I can, it's off of the the work surface, because if I was going to spray or if I was going to use a stain on this, then I would be getting it all over the workbench and causing this to possibly stick to the work surface, which you don't want. So just take a couple of these, put them like that. Now I'm up off the work surface, I'm elevated, I can do my finish, I can spray my finish, you know, I can wipe on the stain, anything that I need to do to this. Now you can do the same thing with these, but like I said, take some scraps and some nails or even some thin screws that you have laying around your shop and use that stuff. Get it up off your floor, get it out of the way, avoid having to make extra work for yourself and throw it out. Okay guys, so check this out. So I have a false panel here, right? And what I want to do with this false panel, this is going to be on the end of the cabinet. I don't want to make any dimples or nail holes on the outside surface that's going to be showing. So what I'm going to do is start on the inside first, and I'm going to lay this outside panel just like this on just regular flat pieces of the plywood. No nails in that, nothing with points. There's no need for that. What I'm going to do is, after I get the stain on this side and wipe it down, then I'm going to flip it over onto these nailer boards so that I can position them in the corners where they won't be seen, because they'll be up against the cabinet and affixed to the cabinet, so they'll be on the inside. And at the same time, the other side, which I'll be staining, which will be the outermost side, there will be absolutely no marks whatsoever. All right, so let's just put some stain on this. Now the client for this particular build chose a semi-transparent black, which is kind of cool because they're going for a really dark bar theme. So I'm just going to wipe on right here with a rag, and then we're going to wipe it off with a dry rag. Remember, this is the inside of the panel. Now I know what you're saying. Why are you staining the inside of the panel? Well, because this is the side of the cabinet that's going to be covered by the false panel, which is going to be visible on the inside of the cabinet. Because if you saw in the last video, I have that cabinet that has a hole in it on the side where the steam unit is. Well, this is the end panel that's going to be magnetized up against the side. So this actually will be showing. So I'm going to stain the inside here. But you know, just pretend that this was a cabinet door. It's the same exact process. This would be the inside of the door, and then we flip it over to the outside of the door, which would always be facing us. So that those, just if there was any little pinholes, they would be right up in the corners of the inside of the door. And most of the time, they'd be hidden by either those little cushion buttons there, that the rubberized little tabs that stop the cabinet door from banging on the cabinet frame, or they'd be hidden by the hinges also. Now the cool thing about this red oak is that it still shows the grain really fine through the actual semi-transparent stain. Now if I put that up in the light, you can probably see that the grain pattern does show through. So it is really cool. That's going to look great when the finish hits that. But so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put my rags off to the side, and I'm going to stand the panel up here just like this, and I'm going to, well, I'll stand it up over here so it's out of the way. Now I'm going to take my pieces, get them out of the way. And you can see what I'm doing here now. I'm going to position these pieces just like this. Just about at the corners of the material. And now you can see it's sitting on those nailer boards. So now I'll take my rag, and now I can apply the stain to which will be the exposed part of this end panel. Now what I like to do after I apply a dark stain, I like to work it in with the dry rag right away. So this way it doesn't stay too dark and have any dark spots that will actually block the grain from showing. I want the grain to show as much as possible. Okay guys, so you can see how that works now. If I was spraying a finish on this, then I would be able to spray it nice and flat on the back side. I'd flip it over, and then I'd be able to spray it again. Now you can see when you're applying a stain, you know, they're going to have a tendency to want to move, but if you wanted to, you could always just put little rubber pads on the bottom with they have like those double stick tape side, They'll stick to the plywood and or whatever scrap you're using. Then you can just press them in, and the other side is a nice grippy piece of rubber, and that'll keep it from moving on the surface. Now MDF here, like on the NFT tops, is very slick. It's a very slippery surface. So if you had a piece of some rough plywood or something and you're doing the finish, maybe even on a workbench, you can, you know, put dogs in the dog holes there to keep it from sliding, and you won't have any movement or anything to worry about. Last tip I'm going to leave you with this is do not store these anywhere on the floor, because then you're going to be in for a real surprise if you're walking through the shop and this goes in your foot. It's not going to be pleasant. All right, guys? So just make sure you store them somewhere up on a shelf that's not too high, because you don't want these things to fall and hit somebody in the head or the shoulder, the arm, or anywhere else on the body. All right, guys? So put them somewhere that's maybe a little bit higher than knee to waist level, and keep them off to the side. Make sure they're in a corner, they're tucked away, and they have no way for them to tip over and fall just on their own. Okay, guys, I hope you guys like the video. I hope you guys like these little tips and tricks things, and I hope you guys will join me for the installation of the bar, the basement bar video, which is the back half. I know you guys, most of you have seen the first video already of me building that, so make sure you guys stick around for the installation of that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the picture of a notification bell in the bottom of the screen also. That's going to notify you every time I upload a video. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me in the shop, and I hope you guys got something out of this.